Hello, my love. Welcome. I am very excited to start this video today because we have many guests. We have butterflies with us. Welcome to the channel. Here, I talk about how to improve your studying skills and mindset so you can learn languages more effectively. In today's video, we're going to talk about the purpose of language and the importance of mindset. Overall, language functions as a tool for communication, regardless of the culture, the era, the topic, or the medium. So whether it's through speech, art, movement, etc. However, when it comes to language learning, there are two directions that you can take. Either you can learn languages at a superficial level, or you can learn them at a more profound level. If you prefer to learn a language superficially, then you're probably wanting to learn survival phrases such as hello, my name is, thank you, how much does this cost. Can be ideal if you just want to sing your favorite song or if you want to say the occasional curse word. But overall, if you know you can't commit too much time or effort into learning the language, then learning it superficially should be suffice in order for you to reach your goals. On the other hand, if you want to completely immerse yourself into a language, then you will probably need to learn it to either an intermediate level or an advanced level. And that will generally encompass the following: using survival phrases, but also being able to talk about things that matter to you, being able to listen to different accents and to different dialects, and being able to understand them, regardless of the age. But what do I mean by this? So children, teenagers, adults, and the elderly, they all have their own way of speaking. So when it comes to kids, especially if they're like at toddler level, then they might not know how to pronounce words very well, or they might still be struggling to get their ideas into a sentence. And then when you have teenagers, they're gonna have their own slang, and it's gonna be constantly evolving for the most part. And then when it comes to adults and the elderly, you'll most likely need to speak formally, and depending on your target language, you might have to use different levels of formality. So you should also be able to write and express yourself with more advanced synonyms and transition phrases, and be able to read texts that are formal as well as informal. And when I say informal, I'm talking about memes, abbreviations, slang, all that good stuff. Learning a language to an intermediate or an advanced level can be very powerful because it can open many doors for you. To begin, you'll be able to engage with the culture more easily. You'll be able to understand jokes and certain behaviors, especially when it comes to either in like work culture or in family dynamics, friend dynamics, or even in relationships. Or like even when you're going out and maybe there's a certain way of eating, you'll also be able to appreciate historical and cultural facts more, because now you'll be able to understand why people acted the way that they did. And above all, you'll be able to realize a lot of things about yourself. You'll be able to recognize how resilient you are. When it comes to language learning, you're really at ground zero. You're at the base of nothing. And so you have to confront the fact that you know nothing, and that those limitations are not hindrances, but rather they're opportunities for you to expand yourself, for you to explore new avenues of expression. And this is really important because when you're able to undergo situations that are stressful, that are uncomfortable, especially when you're doing something that you're not familiar with, then you're able to learn what it is that actually holds you back and how you can navigate those circumstances in order to reach the goal that you actually want to go and that you actually want to get. But there's a difference in knowing that something's holding you back and recognizing what's holding you back. So it's really important to question yourself. Example, do you hold yourself back when you're speaking, but you understand most of what you hear? Do you read with confidence, but you are really hesitant to write any type of composition or text? These are the things that we need to be mindful of, because when we're able to identify something that is not allowing us to reach the level that we want to, then we need to ask ourselves, what is it that I'm scared of? What is it that I'm nervous of confronting? And what is my body telling me that I need to address? This technique in regard to recognizing and managing fear is largely used in psychology, so I will definitely talk more about that in a later video. But most importantly, you need to learn how to trust yourself and know that your voice is worthy of being heard. Next, we'll be addressing mindset. The mindset we have about anything determines how we do everything. So no matter what we do, we are always a student first, but we need to know how to be a good student first. Therefore, I'm going to give context about myself as a student first, and then as an educator. But before we get into my experience as a student, I want to ask you first, what does being a student mean to you? Does it mean you have to sit down, listen to an experienced adult speak for hours? Does it mean you have to take notes and memorize it all for a future exam? For me, being a student means that you are in a position where you feel safe to be able to absorb information. People can absorb information in a variety of ways, but in order for the brain to really take in that information, you need to have a clear mind. And it's really hard to have a clear mind if you're worried about what's going to happen in the next hour, if you're thinking about a fight that you had yesterday, or if you're just having issues being able to stay in the present moment, regardless of the reason. This is where mindfulness comes into play, because we need to be able to separate ourselves from external situations in order for us to be able to take advantage of the current moment. This was particularly difficult for me when I was in grade school and when I was in university, specifically when it came to math. And we weren't friends. We knew about each other, but we didn't really like each other. So overall, I did very well in school, and whenever I struggled with math, it shattered that idea that I had of myself, that I'm a smart student. And yeah, I am smart, and just because I'm not good at something doesn't take away from everything else. But I had equated my self-worth with my academic achievements, so if I was bad at something, that means I was bad at everything, which is not a healthy way to think. But essentially, I struggled to separate my identity as a person from that of a student. So as a result, I always did my math homework late, and I was super tired, so I wasn't able to understand anything that I was supposed to learn. And so this self-sabotage cycle kept repeating. Unfortunately, it still repeats to this day, but we're learning, take it day by day. But yeah, having this black and white thinking really held me back, when in reality, there were so many ways that I could have overcome this hurdle. But, we learn when we're supposed to. However, it wasn't until I was in university and I was studying organic chemistry that it clicked. So similar to math, I left my studies for organic chemistry to the last minute. I was like, we don't like you. But that all changed when I had one conversation with a past classmate. She said, the answer's right in front of me. All I have to do is see it. That's quite a simple phrase, right? But it was quite revolutionary for me, because it showed how much trust she had in herself. She was so sure of her skills, of her intelligence, of her capacity, that she wasn't going to let one little problem ruin everything for her. Now, you might be saying, bro, Nico, not that big of a deal. And you're right, not solving a homework problem isn't going to be the end of the world. But having the confidence to trust yourself that no matter what challenge you face, you're going to succeed, that is the key factor here. So, ever since that fateful day, I've been approaching life with a foundation of trust rather than doubt. And when you choose to trust yourself, your relationship with everything changes. But why? But how? Because you show up as a person who knows their worth. And that eliminates the possibility of fear or doubt holding you back in any capacity. As a result, you enter spaces with an open mind. And that is the true ingredient in learning, having an open mind. Moving forward, we're going to implement action steps. So basically, after I give my little TED talk, I will be asking questions for you to reflect on, write about, so that way this can be a collaborative conversation rather than just me speaking into the void. So for our first action step, I want you to write down what being a student means to you. It can be a word, it can be a paragraph, it can be anything you want. But be mindful, because being a student doesn't only refer to people who are like in high school or university. It can be people who are learning how to cook, people who are learning how to take care of animals, or even learning how to public speak. Then, after you write that down, I want you to reflect on your relationship with learning. When you were younger, or even like to this day, Have people called you slow? Did they say that you weren't the brightest in the room? Or did you have issues with teacher or any authority? Did you have a lot of anxiety when it came to exams? After your reflection, I want you to write all of your thoughts down. And the reason why I'm asking you to write everything down is because when you're able to take out the ideas from your head and put them somewhere that you can see, it does two things. One, it helps to eliminate rumination, where your thoughts just run around again and again in your head. And also, when you're able to see something, it helps you to be more objective. Perhaps not entirely objective, but a little more objective. I understand that these questions can make you feel vulnerable, but I still want to invite you to express yourself and your vulnerability, because when one of us shows vulnerability, it allows others to feel safe in order to show their vulnerability as well. And in this space, you're always free to be who you are. Now, we're gonna get into my experience as an educator. So currently I work different jobs. I have a lot of passions. I work as a research assistant at a university, and I also work as a tutor where I teach various subjects for people of all age groups. Like, my youngest student is 7 years old, and my eldest, I think, is 65 years old. So as an educator, I've had the privilege of being able to not only teach others about subject materials, but also how to manage their emotions, manage their expectations, and feel safe enough to talk about what it is that they feel is holding them back, whether it's in their personal life or in their academic life. And one thing that I do want to talk about, even though it might be a little controversial, is the idea that adults don't really trust children. Yes, they are young. Yes, they don't know how to do many things. But if you, as an adult, don't give the child an opportunity to do something by themselves, or to trust that they will complete something, then you're only proving to them that they don't have autonomy and that they aren't capable of doing something by themselves. Consequently, in my opinion, I think this lack of trust leads to lack of patience. And so this might result in the form of yelling at the kids, maybe giving emotional or mental or physical pain to the children. Now, I'm not a parent, and I'm not saying that there is a perfect way to raise children. And yeah, there are many psychologists who write guidebooks on how we should parent, but in the end, everyone's going to do what they want. But one thing that I did notice is that when parents fail to communicate with their children about anything, then the child feels that they have less support because they don't feel that they're engaged within the family dynamics. Still, I do want to clarify that a lot of this behavior is learned. Generally, parents learn it from their parents, and those parents learn it from their parents. So once we recognize that this behavior is learned, then we can unlearn it. And this is where you, my dear viewer, come into play. Have the following questions or phrases ever come across your mind? If I don't get it right the first time, then that means I'm a failure. I'll never understand this, so why bother trying? There's no point in learning this, so I'm just gonna straight up ignore it. Everything I do is bad, so why am I going to try? If so, then you, and most likely 99% of the world, have experienced the same self-deprecating thoughts. But it is your choice if you want to think this way, if you want to live this way. Because we decide if we want to fill our heads with either positive or negative thoughts. It's not always one or the other, generally it's a mix of the two, but we do have the autonomy to choose if we want more positive thoughts or more negative thoughts. And if you've decided that you want to be more positive, congratulations, it's completely possible, and we're going to learn how to do that together. And now you might be asking, but Nico, how the heck do I even begin? Well, it starts with recognizing your behavior patterns. So you have a goal and you want to go after it, but something keeps holding you back. Well, we have to think about what actions that we are doing that are preventing us from achieving the goals that we want. When do these actions occur? And with who do these actions occur? Then, after you recognize the pattern of your behavior, then I just want you to chill and question the behavior itself. To give you an example, I am struggling with unlearning self-sabotaging behavior. So what I do, my favorite thing to do is overfill my schedule, my daily schedule. So I write 20 things that I want to do, but I know realistically I can only do 5 of them. And even though I know I'm not going to be able to do all of them, I still do it. So I have to ask myself, okay, Nico, why do I feel the need to list 20 items, 20 things to do, when in reality I know I can only do 5 of them? What am I trying to prove to myself? Because I know that by doing this, I'm only proving that I can't do anything, that I'm not capable of completing a mountain of tasks. And this reminds me of a quote that I want to share with you. It's the idea that you always have faith. It just depends if you have faith in your failures or in your successes. And I noticed that I was doing exactly that. I got so used to the behavior of overfilling my schedule and knowing that it'll never work that it just became really familiar to me. But what is the root of all of this? The root is a culmination of all the things that we absorbed as a child. And so these are the things that we feed ourselves now as we age. So in short, what you do and especially what you say to yourself really does matter. Because if you keep saying that you're going to fail, you're only ever going to fail. If you're too scared to speak up, how will you ever know how valuable your words are? So instead of having faith in our failures, we need to learn how to have faith in our successes. The universe and life work for you, not against you. And sometimes you have to fake it till you make it. Even if you get major imposter syndrome, just keep telling yourself that you will succeed. And you will succeed because you deserve success. Now, this mentality applies to everything, but because we are a language learning channel, let's chat about how to become one with your target language. First, we need to ask ourselves, why am I learning this language? Is it to pass a class? Is it to talk to family members? Is it to listen to gossip? Because I know that's why I do it. Or at least that's half the reason. In short, knowing why you want to learn something is essential in order to know what to prioritize. And now we're going to action step number 2. This action step requires you to get very real with yourself, as real as it gets. Write down on a sheet of paper or on your electronic device, wherever you want really, about why you want to learn this language. And when you have it written down, paste it somewhere that you can see it every day, or put it as your lock screen or home screen on your device, so that way you can see it every day. So what we're trying to do here is kind of like a linguistic vision board. Next, I want you to get another sheet of paper or, again, on your device, and write down a chart of pros and cons. This might sound unnecessary, but it actually is quite necessary, because when you are going to learn a language, you have to know how much money you can invest in, how much time you can actually commit, how much effort or energy you'll be able to have in consideration of your work schedule or your study schedule or outside commitments that you might have. And then I want you to write down what level you want to go for and set realistic goals on how to achieve that level, and research how long it could possibly take you. And the reason why I'm asking you to research how long it might take you to learn your target language is because depending on your native language or on the other languages you already know, it might speed up the process or not of the target language that you're studying. My love, in the end, learning something new can be very intimidating, but it is extremely rewarding. No matter what insecurities, limitations, or fears you may have, please know that your purpose is greater than your fear. Your attention was brought to this language for a reason, and you have every right to go after it. Just listen to your heart, listen to your gut. Yes, cheesy, but it's true. And you will be led to your purpose. Likewise, you're worthy of having genuine connections with others. You're worthy of having a genuine connection with yourself. And giving yourself the chance to learn a new language will open up doors that would never have even been available if you had chosen fear and comfort instead of curiosity. Now, if there's one thing you should know about me, is that I can be pretty cringy, but we kill the part that cringes. We embrace the cringe. And I love affirmations, and I do them every day. And sometimes when my students are feeling pretty down, I do it with them, and they enjoy them too. So, since you are now my language learning bestie and I am now your language learning bestie, we're gonna say our affirmation of the day. My purpose is greater than my fear. Now, I want you to say it one more time and with your whole chest, okay? My purpose is greater than my fear. You got this. I love you. I believe in you. And I'll see you in the next video. Ciao!